Imagine this. Deep in the frozen silence of an Arctic glacier, scientists drill into a sheet of ice that hasn't seen sunlight for tens of thousands of years. As the core rises from the depths, what they discover isn't just frozen water, it's a time capsule. Tiny air bubbles whispering secrets of vanished worlds, mysterious particles hinting at cataclysmic events, and traces of life that challenge everything we thought we knew about human history. The ice isn't just frozen, it's alive with stories that could rewrite our past and warn us about our future. Imagine holding in your hands a crystal cylinder of ice, perfectly clear, pulled from hundreds of meters below the Earth's frozen surface. To the untrained eye, it's just frozen water. But to scientists, it's something far more profound, a time machine. Each layer in that ice core is like a page in the planet's diary, recording not just years but tens of thousands of years of history. Think about it this way. Every winter snowfall, every volcanic eruption, every wildfire, and even the breath of ancient creatures left behind microscopic traces. Over time, these traces stacked up, compacted, and froze into permanent memory. That's why drilling into ice sheets in places like Greenland or Antarctica is like rewinding Earth's clock. You're not just studying climate, you're eavesdropping on the whispers of ancient worlds. Scientists can actually measure the air trapped inside tiny bubbles in the ice. When those bubbles are released, they reveal the composition of the atmosphere at the moment they were sealed. Imagine breathing the same air that mammoths once inhaled or the atmosphere before humans ever lit their first fire. It's chilling, both literally and figuratively. Welcome to Before Flame. Fire. If you enjoyed traveling back in time with me, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next journey into our ancient past. And here's where it gets haunting. The deeper you drill, the darker the secrets become. Some ice cores go back nearly 1 million years. They don't just reveal the rise and fall of temperatures, they show evidence of catastrophic volcanic winters, cosmic debris falling from the skies, and sudden shifts in Earth's climate that nearly wiped out life. This frozen archive isn't just cold storage, it's proof that Earth has faced apocalypses before, and somehow, life always clawed its way back. The question is, will we be as lucky next time? As scientists drilled deeper into the ice, they began noticing strange layers, dark bands streaked across the otherwise clear, frosty columns. These weren't random patterns. They were scars, frozen evidence of disasters that shook the planet. One layer, for example, was loaded with volcanic ash. When analyzed, it matched perfectly with the eruption of a supervolcano that nearly blotted out the sun tens of thousands of years ago. For months, ash clouds circled the globe, temperatures plummeted, and survival became a desperate gamble for early humans. That ash, still trapped in the ice, is a haunting reminder of how fragile life really is in the face of Earth's fury. But volcanoes aren't the only voices echoing from the ice. Some layers reveal spikes in cosmic dust, hinting that Earth was struck by fragments of asteroids or comets. Imagine the terror of fireballs streaking across Ice Age skies, lighting up the frozen tundra. These weren't just fleeting events. They left signatures so strong that even today, you can trace their fingerprints in ancient ice. Then there are the more subtle but equally terrifying signals. Sudden, dramatic shifts in carbon dioxide levels. The ice shows moments when Earth warmed or cooled at shocking speeds, sometimes within just a human lifetime. For prehistoric communities, these shifts would have meant chaos. Dying crops, starving herds, and migrations across brutal, frozen landscapes. It's almost as if the ice is whispering warnings across millennia. Each layer says, "This has happened before, and it can happen again." When you realize how many close calls life on Earth has already endured, you can't help but wonder, are we living in one of those fragile chapters right now? The deeper scientists drilled, the stranger the story became. Beyond the ash and dust, they uncovered microscopic bubbles of ancient air, tiny prisons holding the atmosphere exactly as it was tens of thousands of years ago. When these bubbles were tested, the results were chilling. They showed that during the Ice Age, carbon dioxide levels were far lower than today. In fact, by comparing ancient air to modern samples, scientists realized just how dramatically humans have altered the planet's atmosphere in a blink of geological time. The contrast is shocking. What took nature tens of thousands of years to shift, we've managed in just a few centuries. But there's more. Some ice layers contain strange isotopes, chemical fingerprints left behind by radiation from distant cosmic events. These suggest that Earth has, more than once, been bombarded by bursts of energy from the universe, possibly supernova explosions. Imagine living through that, watching strange lights dance in the sky without ever knowing what they meant. To our ancestors, it must have felt like the gods themselves were sending omens. For scientists today, these frozen records are like letters from the past, warning us about just how vulnerable our world really is. Volcanic winters, sudden climate shifts, asteroid strikes, cosmic radiation, all of it locked away in layers of ice that quietly waited to be read. And here's the unsettling part. Those warnings aren't just ancient history. They're reminders of possibilities that still exist today. If the ice has taught us anything, it's that Earth's stability is an illusion, and survival has always depended on adaptation. Which raises the haunting question: if our ancestors faced such trials and endured, are we truly prepared for the next great test hidden in our future? Not all the secrets trapped in ice are about cold. Some tell fiery tales of destruction, evidence of massive volcanic eruptions that once plunged the planet into chaos. As scientists drilled through Greenland's icy layers, they stumbled upon streaks of ash and dust so fine it looked like powdered charcoal. At first glance, it might have seemed insignificant. But under the microscope, these particles told a darker story. They were volcanic ash, blown thousands of miles through the sky before settling into the snow. One layer stood out above all. Roughly 74,000 years ago, a catastrophic eruption shook the Earth, Mount Toba, in what is now Indonesia. The explosion was so immense it released more ash and gas than any modern eruption combined. It blotted out the sun, creating what scientists now call a volcanic winter. The ice cores confirm it. For nearly a decade, temperatures plummeted, crops withered, and ecosystems collapsed. Humanity itself was nearly wiped out. Genetic evidence suggests our ancestors dwindled to as few as a few thousand survivors, barely clinging to existence. Imagine that. All of human history, all of our stories and progress, could have ended before it even truly began. And yet, the ice remembers it all. The sulfur traces locked in frozen layers prove how fragile life can be when the planet turns against us. What's even more chilling is how sudden it was. One eruption, just one, and the world as early humans knew it was rewritten overnight. So, when we peer into those icy records, we're not just looking at history. We're staring into the abyss of what could happen again, because volcanoes like Toba still exist, silently waiting beneath the Earth. The ice doesn't just tell us about what happened thousands of years ago, it warns us about what could happen tomorrow. Those frozen layers are like time-stamped warnings, showing exactly how Earth systems reacted when disaster struck. Take the Toba eruption. The ice shows the aftermath with precision: a world plunged into darkness, sunlight dimmed by ash, and temperatures dropping by several degrees globally. But here's the terrifying part: our modern world is even more vulnerable. Imagine today's interconnected society if crops failed for just 2 seasons in a row. Supply chains would collapse, economies would crumble, and billions could face famine. The ice cores also reveal smaller volcanic winters, not as apocalyptic as Toba, but still devastating. For instance, around 1815, Mount Tambora erupted in Indonesia, triggering the infamous year without a summer. Farmers from Europe to North America watched their fields wither under frosts in June and July. Starvation spread, riots broke out, and desperate families abandoned entire regions. And remember, this was only 2 centuries ago. The chilling truth: the ash and sulfur signatures in the ice prove that eruptions like Tambora are not rare freak accidents, they're part of Earth's rhythm. The question isn't if another catastrophic eruption will happen, but when. What makes this even scarier is that we're still unprepared. Modern technology can warn us of eruptions, but it can't stop the global chain reaction they trigger. A single volcanic blast could ground flights worldwide, ruin harvests, and shift weather patterns for years. The ice doesn't lie. It whispers the same message over and over. Civilizations rise and fall, but the planet's raw power never sleeps. And if history repeats, we may not be as invincible as we think. The deeper scientists drill into the ice, the clearer one truth becomes: humanity's survival has always hung by the thinnest of threads. Every ash layer, every chemical spike, is a reminder of just how close we've come to extinction. Think about it. One eruption, Toba, nearly erased us. Another, Tambora, starved millions and reshaped nations. And countless smaller blasts, recorded in the ice, disrupted harvests, shifted empires, and rewrote history without a single shot being fired. Nature has always been the silent architect of human destiny. But here's what's remarkable: every time, humans adapted. Our ancestors who lived through Toba likely huddled in caves, rationing food, waiting for the skies to clear. During Tambara's dark summer, families learned to improvise, planting new crops, migrating, and finding ways to endure. Survival wasn't easy, but it was possible. And those who endured carried their resilience forward, passing it down to us. The ice tells us both sides of the story: catastrophe and endurance. It shows that while nature has the power to devastate, humanity has the will to resist. Yet, it also warns us not to take that resilience for granted. Unlike ancient times, our global population now numbers in the billions. Our dependence on agriculture, technology, and trade makes us more vulnerable than ever. So when scientists hold those ice samples up to the light, what they see isn't just the past, it's a mirror. A reflection of what might one day come again. And the haunting question remains: if the Earth unleashed that same fire tomorrow, would we still be able to adapt? Or would the story end here? If the ice once preserved humanity's near extinction, today it's revealing an even more unsettling reality: the future. Each year, glaciers shrink, and ancient ice that has kept secrets for tens of thousands of years begins to melt away. What scientists are racing to study before it disappears isn't just history, it's prophecy. Inside these cores are locked greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, frozen since prehistoric times. When researchers analyze them, they see something terrifying: the planet's natural cycles of warming and cooling. Normally, Earth breathes in long, slow rhythms. Ice ages come and go over tens of thousands of years. But the ice shows us something unnatural. In the last 2 centuries, the graphs spike like a jagged knife. Temperatures are rising far faster than anything seen in the last 800,000 years. The message from the ice is chillingly clear: we've broken the cycle. Human activity, from burning fossil fuels to deforestation, has accelerated warming to a speed nature never prepared for. It's like slamming on the gas in a car designed for a slow cruise. And the ice, melting before our eyes, is the silent witness. Even more haunting is what melting glaciers release: ancient microbes, long-frozen viruses, and chemical records of environments we've never seen before. It's as if the past is waking up, ready to collide with the present. The irony is brutal. The very ice that once safeguarded humanity's story is now disappearing because of humanity itself. And as it melts, it whispers a question across millennia: are we writing the final chapter of our survival story, or just another trial to endure? When scientists read the ice, they aren't just looking at numbers. They're staring at echoes of civilizations that rose and collapsed when the climate shifted. And the parallels to today are too close for comfort. For example, ice core records reveal droughts that coincided with the fall of ancient empires. The Mayans, the Akkadians, even parts of the Roman world, all suffered when weather patterns changed. Crops failed, trade routes crumbled, famine spread, and once mighty cities fell silent. The ice doesn't just preserve chemical traces, it preserves warnings. Now, as modern researchers compare those ancient collapses to today's trends, they see the same fingerprints: temperature spikes, disrupted rainfall, and volatile extremes. The frightening difference? This time, the scale is global. We're not talking about one region or one empire. The changes locked in the ice show a planetary shift, and no civilization, no matter how advanced, is immune to nature's raw power. The melting glaciers also act like a ticking clock. As sea levels rise, cities built on coasts, New York, Mumbai, Tokyo, face threats that echo the drowning of past settlements swallowed by the sea. History doesn't just repeat, it rhymes. And yet, here's the unsettling twist: the same resilience that saved our ancestors could still save us, if we listen. The ice isn't just a graveyard of disasters, it's a manual for survival. It shows how communities endured, migrated, and adapted when faced with collapse. The only question is whether we'll heed the lesson before it's too late. The echoes are there, frozen in every layer. Humanity has been tested before. The haunting question is whether this time, we've pushed the Earth too far to find a way back. The ice has always been a messenger, a frozen diary of Earth's most brutal trials. From volcanic winters to sudden climate shifts, it remembers everything. And now, as it melts, it's leaving us with a final message: the future isn't written yet, but it could be haunting. Scientists warn that if the ice sheets of Greenland and Antarctica fully collapse, sea levels could rise by over 200 feet. Entire nations would vanish beneath the waves. Megacities would drown. Billions would be displaced. It would be the greatest migration in human history, and the greatest test of whether our species can adapt once again. But here's the paradox. The same ice that warns us of doom also gives us hope. Within its frozen layers, researchers find proof of humanity's resilience. Our ancestors survived volcanic winters, endured ice ages, and clawed their way back from near extinction. Each time, the story could have ended, but it didn't. And that legacy of survival lives on in us. The question is, will we act with that same determination now? Will we slow the warming, adapt our cities, and prepare for what's coming? Or will we ignore the whispers of the ice until it's too late? The haunting beauty of those frozen cores is that they don't lie. They show us the cost of inaction, but also the power of endurance. The choice ahead is ours, just as it was for the cavemen who braved endless winters and the farmers who survived sunless summers. The ice holds our past, but it also reflects our future. And as it melts away, it leaves one haunting question behind. Will we survive the storm we've unleashed on ourselves? From the frozen whispers of ancient volcanoes to the melting warnings of today, the ice has always been humanity's most honest storyteller. It remembers everything: the fires that darkened the skies, the winters that nearly erased us, and the fragile victories that carried our ancestors through impossible odds. And now, as glaciers retreat and ancient secrets melt into the oceans, the ice is speaking to us louder than ever. It's showing us where we've been, but more importantly, where we could be heading. Humanity has always adapted, always endured, but this time, the challenge is greater, and the risks are global. The truth buried in the ice isn't just about the past. It's about us, here and now, standing at the edge of history with the power to choose what happens next. So the final question remains: will we learn from the warnings frozen in time, or will we become just another layer in Earth's icy memory?